Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight, we're joined by wife, mother, author, businesswoman, empire builder. I mean, we could go on and on. Elena Cardone. Elena, welcome to the show. Now, we have had your husband, Grant, on the show before, and we had a great time. We covered a lot of ground, but I know that you two are so big online. You are influencers in your own right. Tell me kind of how all of this started and how you kind of felt getting into more of the online world, because I know this is not it's not likely for a lot of us who are maybe over the age of 30 that we're going to, be big hits online, but you guys really are.
Wow, thank you for that. It started really out of an idea that was born from 2008. Grant and I were on the verge of financial collapse, like many people in the U.S. were. And I realized we had been married for 4 years at that point. But we weren't really operating together as a unit, ironically. I mean, I didn't really know this at the time until we were actually on the verge of losing it all. I was forced into really looking at our situation. And I realized that even though I was married to this man, I was operating as this independent, powerful woman, never depend on anyone, especially a man, for anything. So for the first 4 years of our marriage, I was kind of vying for this male-female position. Don't you tell me what to do, yada, yada, yada. So what happened was he's creating in his business all day. I was creating in my business all day. And we come home and kind of tear it apart because we were distracted on of competing to see who was right or who could win the battle of the whatever insignificant topic at hand. 2008 happened, and I said, look, this is going to be crazy. It was one of the scariest decisions I had ever made, because I made a decision to trade in my acting career to support a man. And I was terrified because I thought women everywhere were going to just think I was a sellout, a cop-out. What does that even mean, to support a man? But I really had this idea and this vision of this empire in the future. I was pregnant with our first child. My acting jobs, as I knew them, were already coming to an end. I was 36 years old at the time. So I really had to just look and bet on my family and on Grant. Fortunately, I say find the one you trust and build an empire. But we made a decision at that time, getting back to your original question here, how did this come about? We made a decision that if we could figure out how to reach heightened levels of success together, if we could really come together as allies and divvy up our strengths based on strengths and weaknesses, not male and female, in order to achieve this higher goal, being, me, I'm from a very middle-class upbringing in New Orleans. I never went to college, never thought I was smart. Grant's from Lake Charles, Louisiana. We thought if we ever were to quote unquote make it, which a lot of people could look at us now and say, oh, well, they've made it. We made a vow in 2008 that if we ever did make it, unlike most of the other wealthy people that you and I may know who close the curtains, understandably so, I understand why they do that. But we made a vow that if we ever were to make it, we would keep the curtains open for all the quote unquote little people, because that's how I viewed myself. I'm just this little girl from New Orleans, Louisiana. I wasn't supposed to make it. I never thought I was smart. I'm just not supposed to be here. And I feel like whether I had it all in my head or not, I always just felt like wealth and success were for those people, and those people always thought of people like me as little people. So we made a vow that if we were ever to make it, we were going to keep the curtains open, good, bad, or ugly, and for the benefit of helping to fast track all the other me's, all the other little girls from the New Orleans, Louisianas, never went to college, aren't supposed to be here, so that they could fast track their way to success. So that's really why I kind of came out of my shell and wanted to expose and show what I did in the role of creating the support, the infrastructure, the behind the scenes operations of what it took to build this. Because when we were trying to make it and we were failing miserably in 2008. There was no billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar CEO coming out and saying, here's the strategy, here's the plan. And there certainly wasn't the wife of that CEO billionaire saying, oh, and this is how we ran the behind the scenes, and this is how we did X, Y, and Z. So I just feel obligated to keep my word to ourselves at that time in 2008.
I mean, that is so cool. First of all, I think your story is cool, and I want to get more of your background for people because it really is kind of fascinating. But how incredible that you guys came to this place where you said, look, if we make it, if we're successful, we want to guide other people and help other people become successful, because I think there are so many of us out there who look around and they're like, where do I even start? How do I even do this? And so I think kudos to you guys for doing it. I think it's great. And I think you have been so successful. Part of the reason is because people, I think, very much, Elena, relate to you. And they say, I see myself in that, young girl, as you described yourself, from New Orleans, who really was never supposed to be here, or whatever it might be. Believe me, I feel the same way. I was never supposed to be part of a first family. I was never supposed to have the last name Trump. It's kind of incredible how life leads you down these paths. And if you are open to it and you are aware of, what's going on, like life just can be incredible and happen for all of us. And I think I feel probably the same way you do. Oftentimes I look around, I'm like, how did I get here? What is this? It's amazing. I read that you were born in Spain and your father was a World War II veteran. Obviously, you talked about the fact that you lived in New Orleans, but you moved from New Orleans to Los Angeles on your own. At like 17, you said you didn't go to college and you decided to get into acting. How did all of this happen?
Well, that's another kind of tragic story. But I promise, I really did. Up until this point, I lived a pretty great normal childhood, great parents, etc. But when I was 14 years old, I had just turned 14, and I had a best friend, Goldie, who lived across the street. And unfortunately, one night her house caught on fire, and my father woke me up and was like, Goldie's house is on fire. And I raced over there, and I was the only girl there. It was all the neighborhood guys at 4 a.m. in the dark. We literally had hoses and buckets of water waiting for the fire department to show up. Anyway, it was a long, really traumatic story that night that didn't end well for Goldie and her mother. They both perished in the fire. And unfortunately, when they were recovering the body, I didn't kind of make my way home in time. So I physically saw that. And it had a very devastating, at 14 years old, I couldn't deal with, I couldn't cope with that. I didn't know how to deal with unseeing that of my best friend at the time. So from 14, unfortunately, I went to self-medicating to kind of numb that out. So I was excessive drinking alcohol and excessively using drugs. And so from 14 to 17, I went through this period of just really dark years. Now, an outsider could have looked at that and said, oh, she looked like she was having so much fun, right? But that was really just a facade to cover all the pain that was going on inside. And it sounds unreal, but it is the truth. And from 14 to 17, I lost another 8 friends, 4 in a car accident, a suicide, an overdose, fell off of the balcony. It was like stuff you couldn't even, because it was such a hard, fast life being raised in New Orleans.
Wow.
And unless you were in New Orleans, it just seems unreal, because we were literally running the streets all night. I wouldn't even go out till midnight. I'd come home at 7 a.m. Long story short is the house was across the street from me. So every time I went in and out, there was the house. It wasn't like they tore the house down and they built a new one. It was this house staring at me every single day that I went in and out of my house. So in order to get away from New Orleans, the only option I thought I had was an acting career. And that's another interesting story, because I went to a high school that was fairly rough, let's just call it, it was a rough school. And in order to get out of having to go to the school the entire day, I could go in the morning for my main classes and the electives. If I got on into the school called the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts, you could go for music or art or dancing or acting. Well, I have zero talent, writing, none of that. Like, so I thought, to get me out of this rough school, maybe I can audition to become an actress and get in the drama department. And it worked. So I got to get out of that school. So I felt like acting saved me from the rough school. And then at 17, I had the opportunity to go to Los Angeles on an acting / modeling sort of career. And at 17 years old, I literally moved out of New Orleans because I wanted to better myself. I wanted to get myself out of that environment. My parents were terrified. How can you move there by yourself? You're going to get, what was the word? Influenced. I always forget that word. You know, where you, peer pressure. That's the word.
Well, yeah.
You can get peer pressure. And I sat him down and I told him pretty much everything that I had been through in the last 3 years. And of course, their jaws were dropped because that wasn't the era they were raised in. They weren't raised in the drug era. They were from the 50s. You know, my dad was a World War II veteran. So anyway, long story, I moved to Los Angeles at 17 as a way to become better.
And it sounds like it panned out for you in some respect. You acted from at least 1993 till 2012. Is that right?
Yeah, I did a lot of things. I was on a show called USA High. It aired worldwide. I did numerous episodics and reoccurrings, and I made enough to sustain myself as an actress. I bought a house. I had a couple of hot rods, some cars. You know, I thought I had made it big with my big 6-figure a year income from acting. I thought I was just highfalutin because my mother, who was the sole breadwinner of our family, like, again, my father was a World War II veteran, incredible man, but when he came out of the war, he could never really assimilate back into society. So my mother was the sole breadwinner, and it was always a struggle. We lived paycheck to paycheck, and she earned $60,000 a year working for the government, and I mean, we thought that was big time. So, I had worked as an actress for many years, but there were the ups and the down years.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how that job goes. I mean, if you can make it as an actor or actress, that's a big deal. We're probably not allowed to say actor or actress because it's probably insulting to somebody. I don't know what the gender neutral term for that is, but if you can make it, you've become a success, so to speak. How did you meet Grant? Did you meet while you were acting? How did you guys meet?
Yeah, we did. So I had booked an acting job that shot at nighttime in downtown Los Angeles, and he knew the director and showed up. I didn't really think much of him at the time. I was in my late 20s. I was an actress. I had hot rods, so I had these 60s hot rods that I worked on myself with the guys in the garage. I shot sporting clay. I was ranked 10th in California, so I thought, I hung out with actors and musicians at the time, and
were very cool. I mean, like, I would love to go back and we could hang out during this time. That sounds like a great event for me.
I was cool. I was. I'm like, gosh, where is that girl? Sometimes I'm like, find myself scared of little things in life. I'm like, oh, channel that inner wild child. Come on, it's still got to be in you somewhere.
It's still there for sure, for sure. But you weren't impressed with Grant when you first met him?
No, because he was a businessman. He was short. And, honestly, I didn't really, I had nothing against short people except the guys that I had dated previously that were shorter than me would want me not to be in heels. And I felt like they made me feel big, and like they didn't allow me to just be me. So that's why I thought I wanted a 6'2" guy.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
Okay, so I'm 5'11". Girl, I feel you on this. I mean, that's the reason I even noticed my husband the night we met, because I'm 5'11", and with heels on, I'm probably like 6'3" or something. And so the first time I met Eric, I looked across a room and I'm taller than all the other people who were in this room. except for Eric. I didn't even know Eric Trump existed. So I totally understand. And I would always feel like whenever I was going to go on a date with a guy, if I had heels on and I was taller than he was, I'm like, this is not going to work out. Like, how does this
Yeah.
pan out for all of us? So I understand.
Exactly. But, you know, Grant was very persistent. Well, he got my number from the director from the shoot, which is a huge no-no. He gives me this phone call. He's like, you know, people's lives tend to improve when they hang out with me. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've lived in this town since I was 17 years old. I'm now in my late 20s. I thought I had heard it all. Hung up the phone with him. I was not impressed.
Wow.
And then he called me every month, twice a month, and left messages on my machine for the next 13 months.
Oh my goodness.
With no return phone call. So then finally he becomes friends with one of my friends and we hooked up and he's just been incredible. You know, he never made me feel big. He never made me feel like I couldn't be myself. I like wearing heels. I like the way it makes me walk.
Yeah.
And he's such a big being, like he's physically shorter than me, but his energy and his spirit feels so big that it never made me feel like he just feels like a big giant to me. So it was never a problem. And then I realized, wow, I never really had the problem. I only had the problem with the people that had the problem with me and my height.
Right, exactly.
But anyway, to sum up the Grant story, because he hates when I tell that story because he knows how bad and awful that first phone call was. He's like, you need to change that story because you need to tell him the ending. So I vow that if ever I tell that story, I will complete the story by saying this, that yes, my life has gotten tremendously better with Grant in it. So
I mean, he was just telling the truth, Elena. I mean, if we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Can I tell you, though, the interesting thing is, whenever you got that first phone call, it obviously made an impression on you. For better or worse, it made an impression. When Eric and I first talked this same night I just referenced, when we first spoke, he asked, you know, about me, like, hey, who are you? What's going on? And I was in culinary school at the time. I mean, I know I've done quite a few things. I am also a pastry chef, among other things. But I was in culinary school and I told him, and he looks at me and he like pinched my stomach and he goes, I bet all of your desserts taste like garbage. And I was like, oh, nobody talks to me like that. Most of the time the guys were like, maybe we'll cook together. Maybe we'll bake together. And I'd be like, okay. Because it was like, of course it was a funny way he did it, but because it was like a slight like knock against me and like what I made, it was
at
like
the same time a compliment that you're in great shape. Like you're like, wait, how do I process what just came to me? An insult or a compliment?
I was like, I appreciate what you did there. And it caught my attention a little more than had he used the standard line from all these other guys, which is like, oh, let's bake together sometime. So whatever it was, it worked for me. It worked for you. Here we are, both happily married, both successful on numerous fronts. And I got to talk about your next steps, because you did ultimately retire from acting. And then I feel like the world sort of opened up for you. You became an entrepreneur, an author, obviously a wife, a mother, a public speaker. I mean, based on, you know, kind of what you said about growing up, this must have been a totally different world for you.
Completely different world, and so much more rewarding. And the irony is, you know, I thought I had to do everything by myself. I thought that I didn't have any sort of credit unless I did everything by myself. Being this strong, independent, powerful woman, never depend on anyone for anything, is such a lie that I had been indoctrinated with, because nobody has ever built an empire alone. It's never happened in the history of the world.
True.
It takes a team. It takes people. You know this. And it should at least start with the one in your bedroom that you're married to. You know, so the irony is that I really found my strength, power, independence as a woman through the challenges and things that I've had to go through that involved a man. Like the least likely, the least way I wanted it to occur. And that's how I truly found myself. And I just got back from Dubai a few days ago speaking at the Women Empowerment Conference. I'm meeting the excellence, the ministry of development in the future, about I'm meeting with world leaders on women empowerment and what that means. And it's just, I never knew this was the way that my life was supposed to be, that I could actually create the life that I want and actually take the steps necessary to actually achieve the picture that I want. Versus before, I thought, oh, I had to just be chosen or anointed by the directors in Hollywood to determine my fate. And now I've been able to actually mock up and create the future that I want and live from the future, from the present to the future, not from any of the past things. Like, I stopped living from the past. You know, oh, I'm going to go through that program and it's not going to work because it never worked before. I just severed ties with the past, and now I do everything with who I want to be and who I want to become from the future me. And then what steps do I need to take? How do I need to speak? How my communication skills? What do I need to know about money, entrepreneurialism, leadership? What courses? Who do I need to study? What do I need to do? And everything that I do is going to be one step closer to fulfilling that prescription of the life that I want to have in the future. And that's the way that I live forward, which is completely a 180 of how I thought life was supposed to be or go.
Wow, I love it. I think it's so true. And honestly, I think a lot of women, I hope a lot of women relate to, especially for me, being a mom. I feel like that was such a surprisingly empowering moment in my life, and continues to be. Nothing makes me feel more like a woman, but nothing makes me feel more powerful than being a mom, because you realize very quickly, first of all, guys, I hate to tell you, you cannot create life within your body. Obviously, we can grow a life in our bodies. We get that life out. That is a feat in and of itself. But then raising kids, just keeping them alive is one thing, but actually raising them to be good human beings and thinking about their future. I was very surprised after becoming a mom how empowered it made me feel. And I mean, nothing, quite frankly, is more badass than moms out there. How was becoming a mom for you?
You know, it's really interesting because when I first became a mom, I'm embarrassed and ashamed to admit this today, but when I first became a mom, I felt like somehow it was a degrade, because now I felt like, well, what do I'm quote unquote just a mom. Like, how do I wrap my head around this? I dreaded going to a party where Grant and I would be at the same place, and they would say to Grant, what do you do? And he's the CEO of, at the time, a multi-million-dollar business. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm just a mom. Like, somehow I lost value because I wasn't in the workforce, because I was supporting Grant. And did I really have a role in that? And was I being paid for that role? And now all of a sudden I didn't understand my value. You know, I didn't understand my power. And then I had the cognition similar to what you had, which is, wow, we give life. Like, we're responsible, as you said, not just for keeping them alive, but producing productive, contributing members to society. Basically, a mother has the ability to forward and continue the civilization, which we call mankind. Without us, it ceases to exist. Of course, we need men. This is not a man-bashed thing by any means. I love the great men in the world who love and protect women and children, but this is what is of our ilk, of our stock. Whether you choose to be a mother or not, we have this capacity to forward civilization. So then I had this mock fantasy in my head. I made a vow I would never say I'm just a mom ever again. But I had the fantasy in my head that I can't wait until the day where I go to a party and somebody says to Grant, what do you do? And now he can actually say, oh, you know, I'm the CEO of a multi-billion at this point. Very proud of that, being who and where we came from. But back to the point. I'm the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. Oh, and Elena, what do you do? Oh, well, I am a mom of two producing, contributing members of society, and forward motion of civilization of mankind. And the person would be like, wow. You're a mom.
Oh my
Thank you
gosh.
for your service. Thank you for your contribution to mankind. Thank you. Like, that's my fantasy of how all moms and women around the world will feel just by, the role that we possess on the planet.
Yeah, I had a lot of fear, to be honest, about exactly what you're saying, which is like when you do become a mom, what happens then? Then all of your energy, or a lot of your energy, obviously gets diverted to raising these kids. And obviously, dads are so important and such a huge part, of course. But if we're being honest, the moms are doing so much more of the work most of the time. Getting the lunches ready, getting them up in the morning, getting them dressed, getting everybody ready for birthday parties or whatever it is day to day. I was very worried, like, do I lose my identity, as you're saying? But what I found is when you actually are in that moment, you realize like this is incredible stuff, and this is the real important work. Talk about work, because yes, it is the future of mankind, the future of our world and our society. So I love it. And I just want to say to all the moms out there, whether you carry the baby inside you or not, whether you are an adoptive parent, whether you're just, there to help support parents, you are so important. And I see you, and I know what the struggle is real, but I mean, nothing is more important and, quite frankly, impressive to me, the moms out there. But I think we all kind of go through this struggle. And when you're on the way to becoming a mom, while you're there with your kids at all different ages, so shout out to all of them. I want to ask you about real estate. You've worked in real estate for quite some time, yes?
Well, I've helped Grant with his endeavors in real estate, and I recently became a realtor within the last 2 years. But that was more of a formality. Grant was going to go do a deal with eXp Realty, but the owner or the CEO didn't know how it was going to work because Grant's not a realtor. I raised my hand in the background and said, "Do you need me to become the realtor?" So I thought, here's going to be me again, this wife that does something to facilitate this behind the scenes unappreciated thing so that this deal could get arranged between the two of them, which was to have Grant's training on his platform. So the Glenn Sanford was like, yeah, that'd be amazing. So I get my real estate license in 21 days, studying my beauty off. And now once I actually learned about the model and how it sort of works on a multi-level marketing, but it's not a multi-level marketing, but I can have rev share for 7 layers deep of people that I bring in that are realtors that sell homes. I get a piece of that from eXp side. Anyway, I saw this great opportunity where I could build an organization of realtors globally, because we're open in 26 countries, and then I could be the woman behind the thousands, not just the woman behind Elena Cardone, which I'm proud of. Wow. I'm tried and true. I know support, infrastructure, and mindset. So if I could bring that to the team, how successful can I grow this organization? So now I have 720 people in my organization globally.
Wow. Well, congratulations. I think it's great stuff. It's an interesting time, though, I think, for real estate, because having moved down to Florida like we did from New York, obviously there was a huge boom down here in Florida. Everybody wanted to move at the same time. Now we have this kind of precarious, I guess, so to speak, situation going on with some banks. People are wondering, how is that going to translate into the real estate world? Because, the boom can't continue. Does it crash at some point? It's a very interesting time all around. I think specifically here in the United States, with inflation, with interest rates, with all of it kind of coming to a head, so to speak. So, I mean, you're in an interesting time for sure, to say the least. But I love that you're doing it, and I love that you're kind of heading up this entire group. And I have to ask you, anything coming up next for you, though? I would say that, but I feel like there's always something next. You just told us about the real estate stuff, new books, events. Like, what do we have on the horizon in addition to all the rest?
Well, I do an annual event called 10X Ladies, and 10X Ladies is really about empowering women. We talked about the moms, but let's just take the woman, right? And the word power means the capacity or the ability to influence the behavior of others. That's what power is. It doesn't say the CEO of, it doesn't say you have to be a multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever. It says the capacity or the ability to influence the behavior of others. So this 10X Ladies event is a group where we can come together globally as women to really own our power, our influence, to not only influence and become better ourselves, but then how do we then transfer that to our partners and then influence our partners to become better and reach heightened levels of success, and our children, and then our community, and then our globe. So where we can come together and really own our value and be able to go out and make a difference and change the trajectory of this planet. Because I feel like women are going to do it, not our politicians. And women owning their value and really understanding that their power, their influence over others, and really being able to use that for the greater good to make a difference on this planet. And that's what 10X Ladies is about. It's not only where we can go. The guys have the golf course, to do business. We have 10X Ladies to meet each other, network, gain strength and power and numbers to reach heightened levels of success and to actually make a difference. So 10X Ladies is my next event in Miami in August 4th and 5th.
And where can people get more information on that?
They can go to 10xladies.com.
Okay, sounds good. Is there any one little piece of quick advice you might give somebody watching today to help, talk about power, help empower them, help them decide what to do, the next step in their life? What would you tell someone who feels a little confused right now? When I graduated from college in 2005, it was not a great time financially. It was a very hard time to find a job. I felt very lost and unsure, what to do next, how to proceed. What would you tell someone who maybe feels like that right now? What should they do, or what advice might you give that individual?
The first thing I would say is make a commitment to yourself. It doesn't cost you any money. Make a commitment to yourself. Make a commitment that you want to learn, that you want to improve, that you want to get better. Just commit to yourself. Recommit every single day. And now start taking the little steps that you committed to yourself. What do you have to do? Get around like-minded people that have the stats in the area, not just the self-proclaimed Instagram people, but real stats, and study what they do and see if they offer something for free. And then if the free thing makes you a little better to where you can afford a ticket or a book, or just constantly self-enhance and invest in yourself and surround yourself, most importantly, with like-minded people who want to see you succeed, who will hold you accountable, get around people who encourage you to take off, have a drink wine, when do you work enough was enough, stay away from people like that. Be committed to yourself, your goals, your dreams, and then surround yourself with the people who want to help and truly see you win in life.
Yeah. God, it's such good advice. And I also would add to that, I feel like we all can kind of tell negative energy and positive energy. For me, I have noticed that even without realizing it, I am always more drawn to the positive energy people and friends, and people who are negative energy. You kind of mimic in some ways the energy that you're around. So if I am just kind of letting my I don't even know what it is, my essence be my guide, my soul, whatever it might be, I'm always headed towards those positive energy people. And, if there's somebody who's dragging you down and it's just so much work to be around them, maybe don't be around them quite as much. Go around the people who encourage you. Go around the people who feel good, who make you happy. If you're smiling, that's a good sign. If you're not, maybe you are around the wrong group of people. So I think you're spot on with that. You know what? There's so much more I feel like we could talk about, but we're running out of time. So where can people find? Obviously, you told us about your group meeting in Miami, but where else can people find you?
They can go to ElenaCardone.com, and all my social medias are Elena Cardone. Elena, and then Car and Dunn put together. So Elena Cardone. .com, and I'm trying to be everywhere, and I'd love to have people inside of our ecosystem, because if you've got a little love in your heart, a little hustle in your muscle, this is the group for you. We do want to see, we do support. Support means to show active interest in the success of. So I want to show and be a support for you and for everyone that you bring into the ecosystem. We want to see, when you win, we win. And that was really the vow that we made to ourselves in 2008. And it's really my spiritual legacy play at this point.
Yeah. And are you guys still doing the Twitter space stuff?
Yeah.
So I mean, for people who might not know, I did, gosh, it was like a couple months ago, a Twitter space, I don't know what you call it, an interview. What do we call that? With you and Grant. And we had such a nice time. I mean, I felt like it was like an hour or something, but we were just chatting, and it was so nice. And I'm sure you guys meet a lot of great people that way. So I would tell people to check out you guys as well on the Twitter space platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Elena Cardone, thanks for joining us. Keep the hustle going. We know you will. That's a given. We see you out there. And thanks for joining us here on The Right View. We really appreciate it. To everybody at home, as always, thank you for joining us. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share so that we can keep this hustle going as well. We'll see you back here next time for more. At The Right View, we're very proud of the fact that we are independent. We get to say everything that we think and everything that we feel. We have no woke companies guiding us or telling us what we can and cannot say. We are always going to shoot you straight and give you the facts as we know them. And that's why it's important to support independent outlets like The Right View. My name is Lara Trump, and I think Mike Lindell is a patriot. He is someone who loves this country, is willing to fight for this country. I love MyPillow because not only are MyPillows made in the USA by American workers, but they're great products, and they're so great that not only do I use them in my own bed at night, my children actually requested, my daughter the other day went to the closet and pulled out a MyPillow and said, this is the pillow that I want to sleep with. And I gotta tell you, she loves it and will have nothing to do with any other pillow. So it's a big hit around our house. My dogs also happen to sleep on MyPillow dog beds. So all around the Trump household, we're big fans. If you go to mypillow.com today and use promo code Trump, again, promo code Trump, you will not only save money, but you will help us continue this show and other shows like it and help us continue the fight for the future of America. Inflation has impacted all of our lives. I don't think anyone can go to the gas pump or the grocery store without noticing that it is a major factor. And unfortunately, it's not going anywhere. It doesn't seem like it's going down in the way that we would like it to. And one way to protect your money is by investing in precious metals, gold and silver. That's always been a great way to make sure that you keep your money and you keep it safe. When you go to bh-pm.com, use promo code Trump. That way, if you decide you want to invest in gold and silver, you'll save yourself a little bit of money. We live in a time that's very interesting. A lot of us out there feel like a lot of our rights are slipping away. And if you're like I am and you want to have the right to choose whether or not to have a vaccine, how to live your life freely, and you're looking for a great doctor, I've heard amazing things about Dr. Sherwood. He's somebody who you should really check out and check into, and it'll help support this program and keep us going. So go to sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. Again, sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. You can save yourself some money and help us keep our program going.
Psst, ladies and gentlemen, this just in. We'll keep this a little secret between you and me and them and everybody. Whoa. The people that are actually at the tip of the spear, working directly with President Trump on a day-to-day basis to save this nation, they're all joining us on the Reawaken America tour. We have President Donald J. Trump's Chief of Staff, Kash Patel. We've got Peter Navarro's joined us on the tour. We have General Michael Flynn. We have Eric Trump. The people actually working at the tip of the spear with President Donald J. Trump to save America are joining us on the Reawaken America tour. Whoa. If word of this gets out, if the truth about election fraud, medical fraud, religious fraud, monetary fraud, and mainstream media gets out, it may just save the nation.
The Reawaken tour is coming to our place, hallelujah. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit. Yeah, it's gonna be lit. Wide slam open.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, on May 12th and 13th, the Reawaken America Tour is coming to Miami, Florida, and to the beautiful Trump Doral Resort and Golf Course. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the Reawaken America Tour is coming to Miami, Florida on May 12th and 13th. Get your sunscreen ready because General Flynn, Mike Lindell, Amanda Grace, Julie Green, Pastor Dave Scarlett, Dr. Judy Mikovits, Kash Patel, and Team America are taking the Reawaken America Tour to Trump Doral on May 12th and 13th. And then we're taking the God-fearing, revival-starting Reawaken America Tour into Sin City. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are taking the God-fearing Reawaken America Tour to Las Vegas, Nevada on August 25th and 26th. General Flynn and Team America will be taking the Reawaken America Tour to Las Vegas, Nevada. And the Patriots will be staying together at Trump International Hotel, Las Vegas, located at 2000 Fashion Show Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, with zip code 89109 if you want to send them a letter. And yes, Alex Jones will be live and in person at the Reawaken America Tour, Las Vegas, Nevada. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, put it on your calendar. Get those tickets right now. August 25th and 26th. Eric Trump, Dr. Peter McCullough, Mel K, Dr. Stella Emanuel, Owen Schroyer, Alex Jones, Seth Holhouse, Pastor Mark Burns, Pastor Leon Benjamin. We're all taking the Reawaken America Tour to Las Vegas, Nevada, ladies and gentlemen. Las Vegas, Nevada. And that's going to be August 25th and 26th. Thus far on the Reawaken America Tour, we've featured Dr. Dave Martin, the late great Dr. Vladimir Zelenko, Charlie Kirk, Donna Clement Petruska, Sean Foyt, Karen Kingston, Chad Prather, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Dr. Alan Keyes, Mickey Willis, Roger Stone, Dr. Richard Bartlett, and hundreds of patriotic speakers that you know, including Del Bigtree, Thomas Renz, Sidney Powell, Jim Caviezel, Donald J. Trump Jr., Peter Navarro, Klaus Schwab, Yuval Noah Harari, Bill Gates, and the godless globalists have their annual meeting called the World Economic Forum at Davos. But we that reject the Great Reset have the Reawaken America Tour coming to Miami, Florida, and coming to Las Vegas, Nevada. Get those tickets at time2freeamerica.com. That's time2freeamerica.com. We have scholarship pricing to make these events affordable for everybody. Every Reawaken America Tour event has sold out, so request those tickets today at time2freeamerica.com. That's time2freeamerica.com. Or for faster service, you can send me a personal text to 918-851-0102. That's 918-851-0102. And to be bilingually sensitive, that's 918-851-0102.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by the you know the thing.
We will shut you down. We will cite you, and if we need to, we will arrest you and we will take you to jail. Period.
I wasn't thinking of the Bill of Rights when we did this.
But no amendment to the Constitution is absolute.
God actually spoke to me. He spoke about sacredness. He said to me, Kim, what I place in many, many people is sacred. And if anybody touches what is sacred to me, then it is the end for them. So what I've done in the United States of America is sacred. And there are people on every side that are trying to destroy what I deem sacred. And it's not going to happen.
This is the definition of criminal conspiracy, racketeering, and collusion. This is not a theory. This is evidence.
Because I have upheld this country to spread the light to the rest of the world. When you choose to go against the sacred thing that God puts into the very heart and the soil of this nation. This was sacred to God. Now is the time to act. This is exactly why I need some action from my people. Hello, everybody. It's an honor to be with you.